57, 56, 55, 54, 53, 52, 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45, 44, 43, 42, 41, 40, 39, 38, 37, 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host, John Scott, joined by the man himself, the title of the show, Powered for SP3 in the house today, all the way from New York. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing well on this great Wednesday, back here again with Mr. John Scott, the man with one of the best beards in wrestling media, and we're here to talk about a crazy week in professional wrestling. I've been saying it on a few places. I contribute to the busiest 2 weeks of wrestling news of the year in quite some time.
Absolutely. What a compliment there from Mr. SP3. Greatest beard in wrestling media. There we go. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted to hear. I knew I had this for a reason, SP3, and it's just paid off. Thank you everyone for the comments already. We will get to those. Don't forget, if you want to leave a like, please do. It helps the show. It helps us very, very much. And we've got a lot coming up on this show. Mainly the word release. Gets used quite a lot. It's kind of like the new Daniel Bryan. Yes, on this show we say release. Exactly. That's the new one here. But we will get to your comments in due time, so please put them in, put the questions in as always. But let's start at the top. Of course, this breaking news from last week, of course, it's got everybody very stirred up on the internet, whatever you think about this. But of course, Bray Wyatt's release from WWE, very much the talking point of last week, all over the show, really. And quite a lot of backlash for WWE, it seemed, on this one, not just from fans, but even ex-wrestlers like Mick Foley. I saw his tweet as well. And Mick, you got to love Mick, because he does not hold back. He is not a quote-unquote company guy. He's going to say what he thinks, and I kind of respect Mick Foley for that. Like, you got to appreciate that. And he came out and said as well. So SP3, you've had a little bit more longer now for this to settle and digest. How do you personally feel about this, and what was your reaction? Obviously you were shocked like most people, but a few days removed, how are you feeling about it now?
I was very much surprised hearing this news on a Saturday at that. Like, we're used to stuff dropping. Hey, the last batch of releases dropped live here on Powered 4.
Yeah. Hey, WWE, give us a day off.
So you know, that's why I always have my phone handy when we record these now, because I might have to check Twitter at the half an hour mark for news to drop, it seems, because stuff just happens like that. And then we had the releases in April. We had another batch of releases at the end of June. And I think it was Sean Ross Sapp at that time said that this would have ramifications for the next 6 months. And, he also did report when the news dropped of Bray Wyatt being released from WWE. They first sent out the tweets and then they deleted it. Sean Ross Sapp was the one that confirmed the news, and he did say that Bray Wyatt's name was brought up in other budget cuts during the year, in other batch of releases, because he was another guy, kind of like a Braun Strowman, who was paid a lot of money. He wasn't appearing that much. He's only appeared on WWE television. I think it's about like 3-4 times this year. And, the last time we saw him was the Raw after WrestleMania. He had the matchup with Randy Orton to kick off night 2 of WrestleMania 37. Much maligned match. The booking was not perfect there at all. The box-like structure that he came out of, that he resurrected from being burnt alive. And it's just like, it's very sad. Like, I know there's been certain fans that have been coming out saying, oh, analysts were complaining about Bray Wyatt, and you guys are now all upset that he's released. No one was really complaining about Bray Wyatt. People were complaining about the booking and the creative behind the Bray Wyatt character. Whether he is a case study on 101 ways to ruin a character, because when he
that'll be a book.
When he came in 2013, especially he was able to evolve himself from Husky Harris that we saw in Nexus, and he evolved that into the Bray Wyatt character in FCW, then NXT, and then up to the main roster. Those original vignettes were so captivating and got people directly into the character. Even if they didn't see his time in developmental, they were engaged by the character of Bray Wyatt, the way that he had a certain cadence to his promos. And basically it was like, The Fiend is one part of like horror. There's certain like horror films like a Jigsaw and stuff like that. It's a very the it horror film. That's kind of what The Fiend is. The Wyatt family was more of like a realistic horror film where you're riding down the road and then you get lost in the woods, and then these guys just pull up on you that all look like something bad's gonna happen. They might not kill you, but something very, very bad is about to happen. And that's what the Wyatt family gave a real good feel for. It's kind of like Cape Fear meets Waylon Mercy from back in the day, from back in my WWF days. Like, it was those mixtures together that Bray Wyatt created this character, and it was one of the best like call-ups originally as well. Like, he gets called up, they beat down Kane, he beats Kane at SummerSlam 2013 in the Ring of Fire match. They get into like little small feuds with like CM Punk. Daniel Bryan was a really good one that really got the fans into it. Daniel Bryan trying not to get beat up by Bray Wyatt's family. He joins the family. That only lasted about 2 weeks, and then he turns on him in this big, yes movement. That's where like the first like really big reaction for Daniel Bryan inside the steel cage on Monday Night Raw before he got to WrestleMania. One of those like landmark moments was him turning on Bray Wyatt. They had a great match at the Royal Rumble, which Bray Wyatt won. And then he hit the wall, the center block known as John Cena at WrestleMania 30. And that was the first time they let down Bray Wyatt in this character. Then, he beats John Cena at Extreme Rules, but then he loses again. He loses the feud. They put him over against Chris Jericho. Then he gets into this goofy feud with Dean Ambrose where, Dean Ambrose is getting shocked by a monitor in his face, but he gets over on Dean Ambrose. Then he versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31, the year after Undertaker lost the streak, and he loses to The Undertaker. He gets into a feud with Roman Reigns, and he loses that. It was loss after loss after loss, but there was times even in between his character being ruined by those losses that they could have had something, like him going face to face with Triple H at the beginning of 2016, and basically fawning over the WWE Championship. That could have been a face turn right there, and they could have gone full throttle with that. Him turning babyface after WrestleMania 32 and it seemed like he was gonna like have this kind of relationship with Roman Reigns, and then he gets hurt, and then they just totally scrap that. Then, you know, the snake in the family storyline, which was one of the best builds for any Bray Wyatt storyline. The Randy Orton feud totally killed the Wyatt family gimmick. Like, it totally killed it, because Randy Orton, that was one of the most one-sided feuds I've ever seen. He lets him into the Wyatt family, then he burns his house. Then he loses the WWE Championship to him at WrestleMania in one of the worst WWE Championship matches in WrestleMania history. And not off of anything that Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton did, is because they decided to project ants and bugs into the freaking ring. I was there live, and it just didn't make any sort of sense. It was ridiculous. The following month, they followed that up with the House of Horrors, one of the worst cinematic matches of all time. And all of this is me complaining about the booking and the creative. It's not me complaining about Bray Wyatt. You have to understand the difference. It takes a bit of nuance, but you have to understand the difference here. Then he feuds with Finn Balor, and they're about to dress him up as Sister Abigail. Thank God that man caught measles, and we didn't get to see that match, because that would have killed it dead completely. Then, you know, he gets into the whole partnership with Matt Hardy, Broken Matt Hardy, you know, the deleter of worlds. That could have been something, but they totally scrapped that after the huge reaction that got at WrestleMania 34, which I was also there live for, and I saw how over that was. But they decided, no, you know what, we don't really care about that. Give them the Raw tag team titles, let them job out to the freaking B team, and be done with it. We're over this. I'm just chronologically breaking down all the times they ruined this man. And then he creates the Fiend character, the Firefly Funhouse, one of the most creatively, you know, layered stories that WWE and characters WWE has come up with in the past decade. Like, I remember I first got with my wife at the beginning of like 2019, and she is a lifelong WWE fan. She works for WWE, but she had been so out of the company, wasn't watching the company at the time. But what did I tell her? I was like, watch the Firefly Funhouse, watch all these little segments, don't watch anything else, because everything else was not that good either. But this is the best thing going on in WWE. And she got into it. She was like, oh, this is so cool. We went to our first live event together in Long Island in 2019, July. And it was the first time the Fiend showed up live in person. And he was over. It was the best part of the whole entire episode of Raw when he attacks Finn Balor. Then the debut at SummerSlam. Fantastic. The whole music, the whole feel, him destroying Finn Balor and sending Finn Balor off to NXT. Great stuff. And then Hell in a Cell 2019 happened, and they totally killed him again. Then they was like, you know what, we're going to recover this. They give him a Universal title. He has a good match with Danny O'Brien at Survivor Series. Another good match with him at the Royal Rumble, and they're starting to rehabilitate him. It looks like we're going to get Fiend versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. And then they ruined him again. Goldberg in Saudi Arabia. It's like, it's mind-numbing to think back on the past 8 years of this man's career, and how many times WWE creatively, booking-wise, have failed this man. This man is so creative. He is the most creative mind that has come to WWE as far as making different characters that have gotten over with fans since Mick Foley. And he was a merch mover. The Fiend, that stupid title with his face on it, that's so buckets. One of the only WWE things that I bought is a Roman Reigns shirt and the Fiend mask, because I like to protect myself when I go out and buy milk for my kids. And I like people to leave me the hell alone. So I wear my Fiend mask, and people leave me the hell alone. That was a great investment. And he was a merch mover. For however much he was making money, they were getting value out of that, for him being the number one merch mover over the past year. The fans believed in this character. This character was over, and WWE just constantly failed him, consistently failed him. And I think that people are just so dense and just take any type of complaining as complaining about the character, when it's not that. It's not that. It's about how WWE treats these people. No matter how creatively gifted you are or gifted in the ring, it doesn't matter if WWE doesn't believe in you or doesn't give you the freedom to do what you need to do out there. And he is the latest example of that. So I'm very upset that he was released, but this is probably the best for him. There's been many speculations since he's been out since WrestleMania that he's been dealing with mental health issues, that he's been dealing with medical reason. Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer came out and said that it was a medical reason why he was out, and he had just been cleared for August. There was even speculation that he was going to feud with Drew McIntyre once he came back. And then Dave Meltzer and Sean Ross Sapp reported that WWE told the talent that the reason they cut Bray Wyatt is budget cuts. Budget cuts. If they don't think all these people that they are releasing because of budget cuts when they're making record profits is going to turn back and bite them in the ass when somebody's contract expires and they decide they want to go to AEW because they feel safer about their job security, they have another thing coming, and it's going to come back to haunt them sooner rather than later. WWE will make profits on profits, and it will be the most profitable wrestling promotion in the universe, in the world, till to the end of time, till I'm walking around with a walker and my kids got to change my diaper for me changing their diaper right now when I'm 1 year old. That's never gonna change.
Hey, remember that moment here, kids.
Exactly.
Remember that.
Exactly. But as far as fan equity and people being into the product, it's slowly but surely dwindling because of what they do on television and what they're doing behind the scenes. I've never been so down on WWE overall on both sides of the spectrum than I am right now. And Bray Wyatt's release is the latest example of that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you just said there, SP3. You go back and you can unpack it any which way you want, but at the end of the day, the booking, there was no careful planning, and it's a complete waste is the word I would use, of opportunities. Really is. We'll take some of the questions now because we did have some about the release. We got Rambo here. Hope you've been nice this week, Rambo. Ronda Rousey is right. Fans have all been two-faced about Bray. They hated the over-the-top act, and now he's gone. It was so great.
So let me address the Ronda Rousey.
Was Ronda working though?
Ronda's definitely working. Ronda knows the type of reaction that
she does stuff like that all the time, and people get annoyed, and they get annoyed to the point of like she is laughing at you.
Ronda is right and wrong. Ronda is right that fans are fickle and that fans will, cheer we want beach balls, and then when the person gets released, they'll cheer we want Wyatt. Definitely 100% right. That's
not exclusive just to Bray Wyatt. I've seen that with so many people.
But this is the thing. Bray Wyatt was not the best example of that because the fans have always been into Bray Wyatt. Like they love the over-the-top character. If you heard the reaction that he got at SummerSlam, you heard the reaction that he got at WrestleMania. He was over. He's always been over, no matter how over the top his act is. Fans have believed in him. Fans are fickle over everything, but most especially when it comes to professional wrestling. And I even had an argument and debated with one of my good friends from Fightful, Jeremy Lambert, on Twitter yesterday because I'm going to defend Ronda Rousey because I'm all about Ronda Rousey, and she has a bunch of bad takes out there, but I don't think this was one of them. She just chose the wrong example to make here because the fans always believed in Bray Wyatt. But when you look at it from a WWE perspective, yes, Bray Wyatt was cheered at WrestleMania 37, but then WWE booked that match poorly and it got a bad reaction. In Vince's eyes, all he knows is that Bray Wyatt was out there and the fans booed. That's what he took from that. And he's like, it's probably Bray's fault because it sure ain't Randy Orton's fault. It sure ain't our fault for making that bad booking. It's got to be somebody's fault, and Bray Wyatt is it. And we haven't put out a whole bunch of Bray Wyatt products for to sell. So we're not making as much merchandise as we were before. So we're going to make him the casualty here. I just think that Ronda chose the wrong example, but she's definitely right. The fans are fickle.
Yeah, you can't deny. I've been in there in live crowds, and it doesn't matter where Bray is on the card, how badly he's used. When his entrance comes on, everybody's up for it. Everybody's got their torches. You know, everybody's involved in it. It's not like, oh, here we go again. No, everybody's up for it in the live crowd. One thing I will say is not. It's one. I think with the mask and everything, it lacked difficulty to be able to be engaged when the match started. Like, first of all, they tried to use the red light, which we've seen many years ago. They tried that with Kane, and that can take you out of it, I guess, especially if you're live. It's not like the greatest thing to be seeing. And like the moments they were trying to make the match feel like cinematic almost, they were using specific angles, and you only see his face at an angle. I think things like that let it down. And I know fans were a little bit like, oh, I can't watch a match. But in general, Bray was over. Bray was over than about, I'd say, 80% of the roster, because, you know, entrance alone, trust me, not that many people get excited anymore. And that's a big thing. So I'm with you there. Rachel Cornell now, one of our good fans here. Afternoon, John and SP3. Hope you are well. I personally am not upset about Bray going, as everyone is on social media. I feel like it came to the end of the road. Thankfully, he's still young enough. Yeah, I mean, it's not like his career's finished. You know, it's not like anything like that. He's definitely got, you know, a strong enough legs to go again. There's no doubt about it. I mean, SP3, one of the big debates, I guess, that I've seen on a lot of shows, I think even on yours, was that people, there was some debate, you know, should he come in and play that sort of persona, or should he just restart and do something else? What would you be doing if you played, I'm not going to say his name because that's just going to create a whole other bloody thing, but if you was the promoter of AEW, what would you do? Would you be capitalizing on WWE's loss, or would you say to Bray, what do you want to do? You know, could you do something else?
If I'm AEW, I would love to sign somebody like Bray Wyatt, because he's different from everybody else that they have on their roster, and he gives you something completely different, whether it's something akin to what he did with like the Fiend and the Firefly Funhouse, the split personality thing, whether it's he's the cult leader, the Wyatt family, or maybe of a former Wyatt family's old group, Dark Order, something like that could work. But yeah, I mean, I won't say that I don't want him to go back to what he's been before, because I feel like with AEW, he would have more freedom to get to the vision that he sees fit. But at the same time, I would love for him to do something, you know, a little bit and totally different. And I don't necessarily think that, you know, him leaving WWE means automatically he should go with AEW. Impact Wrestling would be a great place for him, that really embraces kind of the dark personas and kind of like comedy meets horror, with like characters like Rosemary Havoc, Sue Young, Father James Mitchell. You know, you have that base there where Bray Wyatt could fit in very well. So I won't say that it's automatic that he goes to AEW, especially at a time when AEW is potentially bringing in CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. You're gonna get overshadowed by those guys if you come in at the same time. So I think that diluted. Yeah, I think that it would be good for him to maybe go on the independents, maybe go into like horror or write comic books. He can try anything now. He has a world of possibilities to his end. So although like I've expressed,
get a YouTube channel.
Although like I expressed, I'm frustrated with what WWE's doing behind the scenes and on camera right now. I think that this is the best thing for Bray Wyatt, because he has plenty of opportunities out there.
Yeah, I mean, and there are, because he's somebody that could do that. Now, I don't know how much WWE owns of that character. I'm guessing a lot. I did see Mickey James, I think it was Mickey James, where she put something out that somebody else could play the Fiend going forward. Now, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't put it past them. We have seen
Alexa Bliss plays the Fiend. That's what it is.
So I mean, that definitely. I mean, look, we were talking about a promotion that had a fake Scott Hall and Kevin Nash. So you ain't going to put it past them, are you, really? Sin Cara, another great example. But yeah, they could do that. They'd be very foolish to do that, but they could do that. But my other thing as well, and not to start something else here, but our good friend Brett Thomas, you know, he's always going on about his YouTube sensations. You know, Bray Wyatt could actually pull that off. Bray Wyatt could do those funhouse shows on YouTube and get huge ratings and just start his own thing for a while. He really could. He's one of the exceptions, I would say, that could actually pull it off quite well. And speaking
Brett,
of the man himself, he's
I just want to say before we even get to his comment, shout out to Brett Thomas. He was like our star yesterday when we did.
True he's got to thank you with this one. So I think this fits with
True Real Heat. Like, thank you, man, for coming and joining us for the live stream for True Rewind yesterday, and congratulations on your new job. It felt like a celebration for you, and the fact Brett Thomas only had one comment about the P brothers. I'm not gonna even say the name.
Wow.
But he like commented multiple times in the live chat, and it was actually about what we were talking about or about his new job. Like, you could tell he was definitely joyous about the new job, and I'm joyous for him. Brett, congratulations once again, my brother, and I appreciate
well done, Brett.
The support you give Powered 4 TV as well as True Hill Heat.
Absolutely. Yes, I came in because I kept getting shared links to your page and I saw him there, I'd been told. But Brett says here, massive shout out to SP3 and True Hill Heat last night for dedicating show to me celebrating my new job. I watched In Your House after with pizza. Thanks, John, as well. Everyone at Powered 4. You are welcome, Brett. And yeah, good luck with everything going forward. I believe he's watched that In Your House. I'm guessing that's the one for your show next week, SP3. That will be here on what In Your House is that? What is the number?
In Your House, it's In Your House number 7. Good Friends, Better Enemies, main evented by Shawn Michaels defending the WWF Championship against Big Daddy Cool Diesel in a no holds barred match. So Brett, I hope I see you next Monday when me, Romeo, and hopefully Drunk Guy JJ, we can find him in 1995. He got lost on a cough medicine and cocaine binger in 1995. So we lost him on the DeLorean, but we're going to try and get him from 1995 and join us all in 1996.
Absolutely. Yeah, go and check that out. And that will be available next Monday, people. So you want to get in for that. And I believe it's a live watch along. So is that right, SP3?
Well,
so there you go.
A live review. We did the watch along for the Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12. We have some things in mind for like watch alongs going further. Maybe possibly a live watch along of the main event of Bash at the Beach 1996 we've talked about. So I'm pulling the curtain back for you guys. True Rewind is a great time. I know a lot of fans don't really like what we talk about here when we're talking about the current wrestling, whether it be WWE, AEW, New Japan, Impact Wrestling. But let's go back in time and have a good time and remember where we were 25 years ago.
Yeah, depressing to think about that sometimes as well. Congrats, Brett, says Rachel. Yes, absolutely. Mark Lloyd, I tell you what, this guy, he asked the most diabolical questions ever. I saw this come up earlier and I was like, what the hell? My question after watching both Simon Miller and Alex McCarthy interviews, who would you say is the most talented? Don't sit on the fence, please. Dude, what are you talking about? They're both freaking talented. Do you not see their numbers and where they are and where they work at? Come on, man. There is no, you cannot pick between those two. They are definitely more talented than I am. That's for sure. But listen, both of them are amazing, amazing personalities, and I enjoy both of them for completely different reasons. So that is a ridiculous, cheeky question, as Rachel has alluded to here. Yes, it definitely is a cheeky question. He does that all the time. He was the guy that I think went on to Wrestling Daily and said something. I think I was like, who's the best co-host, John or Alex? So yeah, nice try, Mark. Nice try. You're not getting that one from me. And Rambo, of course. Do you feel wrestling is not protected enough anymore? And when and why do you think it changed? Geez, we'll be here all day, Rambo. But listen, I'm gonna sum this up as brief as I can, because I know Rambo is so stuck into the old ways and old habits and protected and all the rest of it. And Rambo, I share some of that sort of stuff with you. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm an old school fan, and does it bother me sometimes that, you know, everybody's just talking about it all the time? Yes, it does. But like, I just watch old stuff. If I'm getting that, you know, frazzled by it, I don't watch it. It's as simple as that. And also, listen, when I was thinking about this as well, and I saw this question come up, it's not just wrestling, Rambo. If you go back to the 90s and you look to all your favorite musicians or actors, guess what? When they came off the freaking stage or wherever they're performing at, we couldn't find out if they'd had a pizza or what nightclub they went to after, or how they felt, or what they tagged somebody in after, because we didn't have social media. So it's a very different time you're talking about. And so it's not just wrestling that's changed, it's everything. How we consume celebrity lifestyles. Pretty much we know everything because of social media, and we know where everyone's at. We know what Miley Cyrus has had to eat in the breakfast, the afternoon, where she's going, who she's seeing. We didn't know that back then, and I think that's like a big thing. I don't know if you want to add any more to that, SP3, but I am certain that we'll never go back to it.
Yeah, I think that the people that carry on or drag this out, they just need to accept what we are and where we are in 2021. Things are going to be reacted to totally differently now than it was back then. You know, we talked about it last night on the stream that in 1996, you had little kids chanting at Goldust the F word. And I'm not talking about fuck, because John said I could say fuck on this show, but I'm talking about the other F word.
Worse one than that.
Exactly. That's not acceptable. So it's totally different than what it is today, where, you know, Charlotte Flair makes a promo trying to get heat using Simone Biles' mental health, and he gets her heat. Max Caster on AEW Dark, which was filmed a week ago. So I don't understand how AEW let that go off on their YouTube channel last night. AEW, you deserve a smacking to for that idiocy. But he jokes about Simone Biles' mental health, and even the Duke lacrosse team rape joke during his rap promo. And I'm a big fan of Max Caster, and this is not a reflection on who he is as a person, but it's just doesn't make any sense of why he would say that, why AEW would allow him to say that, and how that was able to, you know, be out there in the open on their YouTube channel a week after it was recorded. And I keep the same energy with Max Caster that I do with Charlotte Flair. There's no place for that in professional wrestling. So wrestling overall, besides not being protected enough as you think, it's totally different than what it was 25 years ago, and people just got to accept that.
Absolutely. Yeah, adapt, modify yourself. And also Carnage Payne responding to Rambo, dude, it's over, get over it. Or just watch old wrestling, it won't go back. I think it hurts it personally, too much exposing, and only appeals to the hardcore fans. That's my opinion. There you go. That's Carnage Payne's.
That's a fair point. You see it with the viewership for wrestling overall, and how many viewers this lost is that it's like nowadays, it is primarily hardcore wrestling fans, and that's why WWE tries so hard to get the casual fans to look back on that. So that is a fair and valid opinion to have, Carnage Payne.
Well done. El Sacano, supple. Raw was boring, like Rematch Mania. Yeah, it was a hard watch.
I'm gonna make this plea because, you know, there's probably certain people out there may watch Powered4SP3. I am putting myself out there that I need to get paid to watch Monday Night Raw. I'm sick of just watching it so I could do a 5-minute segment and talk about what happened on the show on True Hill Heat, which is, you know, I'm a co-creative co-host for True Hill Heat, our weekly podcast on Saturday, but we only devote about maybe 5 minutes recapping what happened on Raw. Somebody pay me to watch Raw, and I will review it. I will review it immediately after the show or the next day, preferably the next day, because I think it's safer for my sanity to watch it Tuesday morning than watch it on Monday night. But somebody pay me to
I'd
watch
love to
Monday
see
Night
your
Raw,
live
please.
reactions, I tell you.
Please pay me to watch Monday night. I already get paid to watch SmackDown. Someone please pay me to watch Monday
There you
Night
go.
Raw.
You heard it here. You heard it here. If anyone wants to do that. Fifth Gen Carney, hope everyone is doing well. Yes, and you, my friend. Opinions about Impact leaving Twitch. Joe, I didn't know too much about this, but yeah, they have done that. What are they going to do now, SP3? Have they got something lined up or?
Yeah, they're doing a membership service on their YouTube channel where people can become a member and they'll get access to the brand new episodes of Impact Wrestling. So it's a smart move as far as on a profitable range of how to get money in on YouTube. So it's an investment, but it's something that's going to be beneficial for the people that aren't able to have access to Access TV.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And also, who do you think will win the NXT Breakout Tournament? And who do you want to win the NXT Breakout Tournament? Well, what about, I'll hand this to you, SP3.
The NXT Breakout Tournament, I believe that Odyssey Jones will win the tournament, and I'm a big fan of
Who would you like?
Odyssey Jones. Who would I want to win? Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes is someone that's came up on the East Coast here in New York on the independent scene or on Beyond Wrestling, and he's so talented and he's shown a lot already in NXT, and I feel like they should, pay that forward and allow him to win. But Odyssey Jones just has the charisma, he has the size, and I think they will go with him, even though he's kind of green in the ring right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis Young's here. Hi, John and SP3. Hi, Lewis. Hope you're doing well. And also, fifth Gen Carney, do you think Walter versus Dragunov will be as good as their last match? You know what? He said it's a tough one because it's very, very seldom you can recreate what they did. And don't forget, that came out of nowhere. Nobody was expecting just an NXT UK show to have that kind of a match. And of course, it got very high praise, but I'm pretty sure they didn't expect it was going to be as good as they thought, because at the time I was reviewing NXT UK week to week, and although they built to it a little bit, because they pre-taped it, they didn't follow up with it the week after. So it got all this wonderful praise across the world, and they never capitalized on it because we didn't see Volta for another couple of weeks, probably because they just didn't anticipate the reception it got. But Volta, take nothing away from him. He's from a different cloth in terms of what he's doing, Dan. He's like, he seems like he can do what he wants. I do think it'll be really good, but there's a lot of pressure to have it as good. I'm not sure. What about you, SP3? It's a difficult one because it has been done in the past where you can up it, but blimey, it's tough, to rekindle it.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say it's gonna be better. It's going to be better than Walter Dragunov 1, which I thought
what we have to say is fans, that could be a big plus for it.
That's my thing, because
that's a good point.
Although it was the best empty arena match that I saw all year, especially during the pandemic, it was up there with the top 10 matches of the whole entire year, in my opinion. But the thing that I took away and why many people gave it, 5 stars, I was like 4 3/4. Why I said that, why I dropped that down to 4 3/4, because they didn't have any fans. Because you heard the strikes and it was more visceral with being an empty arena. I want to hear the reaction of the fans. I want to hear them visibly gas at the way Walter assaults the body of Dragunov, and I want to hear them get behind Dragunov when he makes his comeback, and I think that will elevate it to a 5-star match. I think that there's no question in my eyes this is going to be the best match on TakeOver 36 in 2 weeks.
High praise indeed. And I wonder if Dragunov will dethrone Mr. Volta, or whether they are indeed waiting for a certain Harry Smith to come in, maybe around that time.
I think it's Dragunov's time. You got to pull the trigger.
You think it's time?
You got to pull the trigger. So I think it's Dragunov's time.
Also, this is, I think, from Bray Wyatt. Disappointed Brett Thomas released movement. Yeah, that'll be the new one. That we could definitely get that sorted out. And fifth gen Carney, but SP3, your Lord and Savior, said he let it go because I am ungrateful idiot.
Don't worry.
What is this about?
Fifth generation Carney. He's talking about Ronda Rousey.
Okay.
You're an ungrateful idiot. I'm an ungrateful idiot. We're all ungrateful idiots.
Hey, I love being an ungrateful idiot.
We are all ungrateful idiots. If the Lord and Savior says we are ungrateful idiots, we shall.
I don't want to spoil this because I like the fact she can get heat like this. But I'm telling you, just the fifth gen Carney, she's working you. Don't worry about it.
Absolutely.
She's working, and
That's
she's very good at it.
Like my good friend Luke Owen of Wrestle Talk said it best. If you've ever seen the movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, Clerks, in Clerks, I think it's Randall. He tells Dante, I love this job if it wasn't for the customers. That is Ronda Rousey. She loves professional wrestling, except if it wasn't for the customers, the fans.
Brett Thomas, put the mask on SP3, laughing out loud. I think he's referring to your.
I don't even know where it's
I'll
at.
tell you, we'll sort that for you next week,
Exactly.
Brett. Don't worry. Games and Graps now says greetings. They are here. Also, poor old Sonny. We're in the bad books. Half the people in this chat. Nah, you're all right, Sonny. Yeah, they cancelled last week. There was a big commotion on freaking Big Fight Weekly, but it's okay. Do not worry, Sonny. They'll be back. I have told them all off. Me and SP3 will sort them out. You're good on this show. And let's just get right to the end here. We got what have we got? No, she's working. I've been working. Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. See, it's a good follow up there. And also we got Chris, Games and Graps, because our tone wasn't nice at the end of the show. Yeah, there you go. They got told off. Chris has been put into place. Stu's been put into place, but they'll be back here tomorrow night. Do not worry for poor old Games and Graps. Let's just go through the release movement again, just quickly, and because this one is the man, the strutting, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun, Ric Flair is out of the WWE as well. This one, I mean, not, yeah. If I could, I would. This one not as crazy controversial, I don't feel, because obviously he's not somebody who's actively there. He's had moments involved in crazy storylines of late. We know that much, but he's very much involved in his daughter's progress, so he's always there anyway most of the time. So I think WWE kind of feel like, why wouldn't we use him? He's also featured in some of their shows as well. But Ric Flair, is this much of a shock, and is it likely that he would end up anywhere else, SP3, or do you think that's sort of going a bit too far? I mean, would Cody put a reach into this, being he's sort of dad and all the rest of it, and their affiliation? Is that something that would be a possibility, or do you think that's just fans sort of thinking it's is that too obvious?
In his prophetic words, "You can't fire me, I'm already fired." Oh man!
Yeah, exactly.
That great promo he did in 19.
Don't turn the cameras off, or I get naked. Something like that, wasn't it? Right?
Oh man! Like this made a whole lot of sense, because when you look at Randy Orton and the people that he's feuded with or interacted with outside of Edge, they all get released, or they all ask for the release.
Yeah, it's last one is Randy.
Christian, Matt Hardy, Big Show, Mark Henry, The Fiend, and now Ric Flair. Ric Flair, I think the most shocking news of this was reported by FIFO and Wrestling Inc. that Ric Flair asked for his release following complaining to Vince McMahon about the booking. They didn't talk about if it was directly about Charlotte Flair's booking. More, it was probably about his booking and the way he was treated in that whole Lacey Evans rivalry, and that led to the 101 time that Charlotte Flair kicks him out of her life. It got redundant in the way that they would use him, and he even said in a tweet, in a message, that they didn't see eye to eye on his future, so that's why he made the choice to go. I think that Cody and AEW would be wise not to give him a contract. But if they want to do something special, like a Four Horsemen reunion, an appearance for AEW, I'm all for that. They have Tully Blanchard, they have Arn Anderson there, they've used JJ Dillon in the past. So if we want to have a Four Horsemen reunion and maybe they interact with the Inner Circle or interact with the Pinnacle, I think that would be very, very cool and a cool moment for AEW, because it's been 20 years since Ric Flair has been on TNT. I think it would be very, very cool for maybe a one-time thing to have Flair back. Using him long-term, I'm not so sure on, because, you know, the number one role.
He's got one more. He's got about one more run in him.
I got one more run. And if Forbidden Door is really open, I would be down for Ric Flair coming in to just have a promo exchange with the one and only Jay Lethal. Just give us that one more time. Give us the woo off, and the Ric Flair. That's the best work Ric Flair has done since his retirement.
I love the one at the comic convention as well. When Rick was signing stuff and he come up to him and did it there as well. But yeah, there's a lot of good moments. In fact, I'd like to see a standoff between him and Kenny as well. I think that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool.
You know, just a little bit of a
him and MJF would be really cool,
exactly. I think that's what you've got to use Ric Flair for these days, and WWE didn't really capitalize on it. But Ric Flair, he never gets old of personality, charisma. He's oozing it all the time, and there's a lot of good interactions we've never seen him with in AEW. So it would kind of make some good sense there to have him involved on an on-screen persona for sure. And keeping with the release movement here, we've now got the possibilities of Adam Cole leaving WWE. Tell us about this one, because this has been something that, I mean, Adam Cole, wasn't it like a couple years back, and we're just dreaming of this, where there was also speculation then that he would possibly leave, and then didn't he re-sign as well? I can't remember the whole thing, but
this was back in 2019. There was speculation when AEW was first brought in that Adam Cole, when his contract was up, could potentially sign with AEW, because he has a lot of ties to the company. He is very good friends with the Young Bucks, very good friends with Kenny Omega. He spent a lot of time in Ring of Honor and New Japan with a lot of the guys on the AEW roster. And then above all else, his current girlfriend is the one and only DMD, the AEW Women's World Champion Britt Baker. So it makes sense that he would, you know, if he is to leave WWE, that would be the number one place to get him. And even though, like I said, with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson in, I'm skeptical about a Bray Wyatt coming in. I think that Cole kind of fits in the mold of Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They're from one era of independent wrestling and coming from the bottom and then making their way to the top, while Adam Cole is in another. And him making the choice to leave WWE would be very telling, and in my opinion would have the same of significance and impact of a Daniel Bryan, who made the choice that when his contract expired, he's potentially going to go to AEW because they give him more creative freedom. He has the opportunity to fulfill goals that he's wanted to do, like perform at the Tokyo Dome or perform in Arena Mexico. With Adam Cole, he's done everything he can in NXT. There's nothing for him to accomplish. I saw certain pundits on Twitter saying, "Oh, we haven't seen a pure babyface run for Adam Cole." Yes, we have. This man's been getting cheered for like 3-4 years. Like whether you think that he's a babyface or not, he gets cheered like one. So that's all that really matters. And we got the brief run with him as a babyface at the tail end of 2020. And we're never gonna have a pure babyface Adam Cole, because that's not his character. The Adam Cole that flipped the switch and became a heel in Ring of Honor, he's been riding that character for 8 years now. That's the Adam Cole. And if they want him to be a babyface, I think the best babyface move for him to do is leave WWE and go to AEW. That's how you make him a babyface, honestly. It's not sticking in WWE for him to get called up to the main roster and get treated like a Karrion Kross. That's not what we want to do here. We should give credit to Fightful for being the first to report this news about Adam Cole's deal getting done, a lot of people in WWE, well, actually, it was first Wrestling Inc. and then confirmed by Fightful. They said that a lot of people in WWE thought that his deal was up in 2024, and that he had re-signed a new deal back when NXT was moved to the USA Network, but his deal was actually up after Great American Bash this year, and he only extended it a couple of months to finish up the story with Kyle O'Reilly after SummerSlam. So his deal is officially up after SummerSlam. My good friend Alex McCarthy, your good friend Alex McCarthy, confirmed on TalkSport that this kills his non-compete clause. So after SummerSlam, he could realistically show up on AEW Dynamite that Wednesday following TakeOver 36, which is insane to me. And a lot of people are saying that Fightful also reported that the reasoning for them missing out on another big contract, because this is similar to what they did with Aleister Black, not realizing that he was on a 30-day non-compete instead of a 90-day non-compete. This was another fault against Canyon Ceman, who just recently was left the company very quietly. He wasn't given the publicity or said, good luck on his future endeavors. He was kind of left out in the cold because he had this blunder, and he had this he had the Malachi Black blunder, and now this blunder, which really is an indictment on their attention to detail when it comes to contract, not realizing that someone like Adam Cole, the face of NXT, contract is about to come up and you don't re-sign him before it even gets to that point is ridiculous. There was even people in the company, if they didn't think it was done in 2024, they thought it was done in December. So for it to be done right in front of their eyes, and Adam Cole being gracious enough and being loyal enough to WWE to extend it for a couple of more weeks, it says a lot about him. But it also says that if he's just willing to extend it for a couple of months and not extend it a full extension for a couple of years, it says that he is weighing his options. So I look forward to after SummerSlam to see if Adam Cole re-signs, which my gut says he probably will, or maybe be the next one to jump to AEW.
Yeah, what a thing that would be, man! Like a statement now to have him come in straight after as well. I'm sure that would be a huge coup for them doing that. And speaking of events, and this one not a released but a cancelled possibly, news coming in just before we came on SP3, SummerSlam cancelled. I didn't have time to really put that correctly, so it's a kind of one of those ones where it's clickbait. On a site that you see so many times, and you go on it and you're like, okay. But SummerSlam, what's happened here? What's happened here, SP3? What is happening with WWE in Vegas in August here? Well, the end of this month, in fact. It's not far away at all.
No, we're going on 2 weeks this weekend, but basically it was a report from Cassidy Haynes of bodyslam.net. This is the same guy that dropped the news of Bryan Danielson going to AEW, and he reports that WWE is worried that SummerSlam may be canceled, anticipating a return to the Thunderdome potentially.
Bloody hell.
It has previously been reported that new cases of COVID-19 in the United States with the Delta variant have been rising daily. Both AEW and WWE have been discussing contingency plans internally in case of more restrictions coming down regarding mass gatherings. While speaking with sources within WWE, Cassidy Haynes was told that internally WWE expects that they will have to return to the Performance Center or another venue for their Thunderdome gimmick within a couple of weeks. Additionally, sources stated to Cassidy Haynes that the feeling internally is that SummerSlam can and will probably be canceled. The feeling is that the company fully expects that they will not be on the road in 4 weeks' time, as there is concern about how they will be able to proceed in a non-contained environment. This comes off the heels of multiple sources, including John Alba, talking about how WWE and AEW have been discussing, the rising cases and how it can potentially affect, what's going to happen as far as, we got All Out coming up. We got the big event in Arthur Ashe Stadium for AEW. So there is some big events for both companies that can be affected by the rising cases of COVID-19. And WrestleVotes just tweeted out before we went live here that they said, and I quote, sources says SummerSlam happening at Alliance Stadium is still the plan, with the event being just 2 weeks out. WWE has had conversations with the city venue, and as of this very moment, all things remain on track. So fingers crossed, SummerSlam can happen. Fingers crossed, All Out can happen, and fingers crossed the Arthur Ashe Stadium event can happen. Most especially because I'm going to be there live.
Oh, exactly, you'll be there. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? To think that we're this close to it, and they could potentially, that would be an issue, and they would end up back in the Thunderdome because, I mean, let's face it, everything they've booked is pretty much to have a live crowd. I mean, they couldn't do it at WrestleMania. This is what they're trying to. This is why John Cena's here, for goodness sake, and Billy Goldberg. This is why he's back at age 54. He's here for this exact reason. So I mean, it's made basically for fans. It'd be a very huge disappointment if they didn't have that and they were back in the Thunderdome. I mean, I just think that would be so, I don't know, very underwhelming after all this, especially after all the Raws and SmackDowns. But safety first, obviously, we have to make sure there is a world out there outside of wrestling bubble, of course. So we do want to make sure everyone's okay on that. Now, we haven't got too much time left, SP3, so I am going to go to this, and that is AEW sells out the United Center on a few days' notice. So big news here, great news, in fact, for AEW, obviously, on this one to sell out as quick as this. Tell us more, Mr. SP3.
I think this is big news because of what we just talked about with AEW potentially having to cancel events like All Out and the Author.
Shows how much fans want to get back, man. Fans just, they want to get back as quick as possible, right?
And I actually discussed this on a few places. Most especially, I remember talking about this with Kevin Kellum on Sports Keto Wrestling's Inside Cradle podcast, and we were talking about AEW just making teases that CM Punk may potentially be at this event, announcing the event, calling it the first dance in the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. Darby Allin immediately after cutting the promo saying that he says, this is the place to prove that you're the greatest, even if you think you are the best in the world. MJF doing the line from the pipe bomb interview. So for AEW to not confirm that CM Punk is going to be at this event, and putting this event on sale a few days notice, for them to sell out and sell over 12,000 tickets at the United Center is very, very telling. It tells you that this is a company with a whole bunch of momentum. This is a company that has some big things planned in the future, and this is 2 weeks before they are in Chicago for 3 separate events: All Out, AEW Dynamite, and AEW Rampage. This is going to be the second episode of Rampage. I'm about now at this point 90% sure this event on August 20th, AEW Rampage, will be the debut of CM Punk, and this is huge. This is huge for professional wrestling. This is huge for AEW, and it's huge for CM Punk, for him to be in a place where it has a whole bunch of history. United Center is where the Chicago Bulls played in their prime with Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen. It's where CM Punk went to his first WWF event in the United Center when Bret the Hitman Hart versed Owen Hart inside of a steel cage at SummerSlam 1994. And it is the day before SummerSlam in Las Vegas. So AEW is trying to steal all the headlines. I feel like this is a kind of like a checkmate kind of move from Tony Khan to really show where they are as a company. Like I said, they are a few decades away from matching what WWE could do as far as profits. But as far as momentum and fan buzz, AEW is at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, I mean, what a disappointment if they couldn't get that done with what you've just said before that as well. I mean, like I say, all these things, all these signings and everything, they're fantastic, but without fans, it wouldn't be the same, after waiting all this time, especially for CM Punk. Like, to have no fans there, it's like, why would you even bother, really? It'd be very hard, I feel, to sell that. As good as reaction as it will get, without the crowd, man, I just feel like it's something else. So fingers crossed it doesn't get to that point, of course. Guys, I'm just going to play now a little promo video of what you can expect here on Powered4SP3 before we go home. The referee is in my earpiece. He's telling me I've got to go home soon, so I will. But here is basically a returning promotion that will be coming back this October. We'll see you on the other side of this one.
Underneath the bridge, the top sprung a leak, and the animals I've trapped have all become my pets.
Yes, there you go. DNA Pro Wrestling will be returning in October. Go and check that out now on their website. And of course, you get to see it on Powered4SP3. And there's only one code you need to know, and that is SP3, 50% off. My goodness, I do not have to sell this one too hard this week because there's so many events coming in on the platform. We've just recently had another 3 events on its way from the TNT Extreme Wrestling, which I was told was a very good three days worth of wrestling, including, I believe, I think they made the claim it's the first ever female deathmatch tournament on UK soil that we saw as well. So, yeah, loads to look forward to there. Coming in, of course, and loads coming in this week as well. So really good opportunity. Sign up, have a good look at what we've got available. And now it is that time, of course, SP3, where we say, bring in the PA, but he hasn't got one. So he's going to pretend he's got one and look at his diary and tell us where he is this week on YouTube.
Oh, I'm in a few different places. I got to shout out Post Wrestling and the fellas over there, Nate and Professor Chris of the NWA podcast, Nubian Wrestling Advocates podcast. I'm going to be featured on this month's episode with myself and Righteous Reg. We talk about all things going on in on Black wrestlers, Black creativity, the 5 stereotypes that Black performers have in WWE, and just more opportunities for African American content creators as well as professional wrestlers. So check that out. That's going to be dropping this month. Of course, you can see me later on today, Wrestling Daily YouTube channel, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. BST with my good brother, my brother from an Irish mother, Alex McCarthy. The Daily Boys are at it again with another debate. We're going to be talking about the latest wrestling news, including this possible story about SummerSlam being canceled. We'll get into that, as well as NXT and our debate of the day. You can see me over on the Wrestle Talk podcast channel on Monday. I was just actually notified during the stream, so that's why you always got to check your phone. I'm going to be on the Wrestle Talk podcast this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. BST with Luke Owen and Denise Salcedo. We're going to be talking about the latest wrestling news over there. So very excited to be on there. Of course, you can follow me over on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. You can also follow True Hill Heat on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. True Hill Heat weekly podcast, True Hill Heat 137 drops on Saturday with myself, Miss Chrissy Love, Top Guy JJ, talking about the latest wrestling news. Subscribe to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel today. We got a watch along live during Dynamite for Homecoming with Romeo and Ness. They're going to be watching it along with you. So join us live. Leave your thoughts on the show in the live chat or comment section if you watch on demand. You can also see on Thursday following Impact Wrestling, 10:35 Eastern Time, our Blunt Impact with Chris G and Ness. So a whole bunch of great live content over there. And of course, you can also follow me over on the Sportskeeda Wrestling YouTube channel, following SmackDown on Smack Talk with Rick Ucchino and the legendary Dutch Mantel. And of course, right back here, Wednesday next week, Powered 4 SP3 with my main man, the best beard in wrestling media, John Scott.
There you go. That's what I'm known for. No, thank you very much, SP3. So there you go. Plenty of places this week to see SP3. You can't get enough of him, I'm telling you. And fifth Gen Carney, thanks for answering my question. Another highly enjoyable show. Hope you too and everyone in the chat. It was a great rest of the day. And to you, my friend. It always ends with that. It's always nice to end my shows when somebody says something like that, because, you know, it's nice to feel appreciation now and then. And Carnage Pain, also, thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it. You are welcome. And yeah, look forward to coming back next week for some more action. Let's hope we're not talking about another release. Let's hope we can have a week without that. But who knows in this day and age? My goodness. But yeah, from me, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, as always, SP3. And we'll see you next week, guys.